You're listening to the Clean Comedy Podcast with your host, James Creviston.
Hey everybody, it's James. Welcome to the Clean Comedy Podcast. And today we have a good friend of mine and a great comedian, Mr. Allan Cunningham, who goes by AC the Comedian. So if you're looking him up on any of the stuff for Instagram, any of that stuff, it'll be under AC the Comedian. So Allan or AC, welcome to the podcast.
My man James, what's going on, man?
What good. Nobody saw it before this, but like we just did like 15 minutes of troubleshooting for audio for Allan. It was really funny. And then it turned out like every time one of us would have our AirPods, it would just like disconnect the other one's audio. It was so weird. I have no idea. I've never had that happen before, but it's all good. So
weird.
So let's just go into it. Let's just hear your origin story. No, let's say nobody's ever heard of you before. Let's hear your origin story of comedy, because that's important to know where a comedian came from, how they got started, all that kind of stuff.
Right. So I came from Detroit, man, the mean streets of Detroit. And first time I ever went on stage, it was I was in my early 20s, and they told me, because my family always wanted me to be a comedian, because they was like, you're a class clown. So we went to a comedy club. The comedians were horrible. They signed me up for open mic, and I went back by myself, but then my brother showed up. I didn't know they was coming, so they showed up anyway. And first time I went on stage, it was pretty well. It went pretty well. Yeah, it was. I had 3 minutes.
All right.
Yeah, and it felt like an eternity. And all my jokes worked that night. All of them. Yeah.
And did you pre-write a bunch of jokes before you went on stage, or did you just wing it?
No, I pre-wrote some jokes.
Okay.
I had a plan, and I was on stage actually in my mind reading off the paper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I pre-wrote some jokes, and it was all about sex, since I was brand new at comedy. That's all I talked about. No, I talked about that, and I talked about how my girlfriend. I remember this. My girlfriend at the time, her father worked at Embassy Suites Hotel.
Okay.
And all of their appliances had numbers on them in her house. So he used to steal appliances from work.
You called him out on stage?
Yeah, I called him out on stage, man. He used to steal appliances from work and bring them home.
Dang.
I never saw it before like that. It was like the washer was like number 47. And the dryer was like number 13. And I had these numbers on y'all washer and dryer.
If you're gonna steal it, wouldn't you just wash the numbers off or remove the numbers?
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Like
exactly. Yeah. So that's yeah.
And then, how long after that one did you go back and do it again?
I would say a couple of weeks. This dude named Spanky Hayes. He was a comedian in Detroit. He's a comedian too. He's from Detroit as well. And he had after that show, he said, "Man, come to my I have a show." So now the first show was in the suburbs, right? Okay. And they were nice people.
Yes, white people are polite to anybody on stage. It doesn't matter. You can be terrible. They'll be nice. Yeah. You know that's true.
Yeah.
Except for old white people. Old white people don't care about anybody.
Yeah, they don't give a damn. They don't care. So they have so he told me to come do his show. His show was in the inner city. And I was sitting in the audience. I was scared. And wait, this is called the clean comedy, so I gotta keep it clean, right?
Little bit, yeah, a little bit. Damn's okay, whatever, but further than that, we got to keep it. No F-bombs, please.
Okay, gotcha. So I'm in the audience, and this comedian said, he was telling a joke, and he said, "So I got robbed the other day," and somebody from the audience yelled out, "Because you were," and yeah, and the audience just cursed him out for no reason. You know what I mean? And I was next, and my heart was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." You know what I mean? I've never been that scared in my life. So when I went on stage, the audience sensed it, and it was all of these like dead faces looking at me like
Yeah.
not one laugh, not one smile. That was the hardest 3 months of my life.
Dang. That's
Yeah,
wild.
it was wild, and for some reason I wanted to do it again.
That right there would have been enough for most comedians to go, all right, I'm done. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, yeah,
Apparently, that time was a fluke. This is not a fluke. I'm out. So
exactly. Yeah, and that club used to have so much drama going in it. It was one night, somebody was sitting at the bar with a girl, and her boyfriend came in, and he shot up the bar because he saw that.
oh dang.
Yeah, that was one night I was supposed to have been there. I didn't go. That's not
Oh,
that particular.
thank goodness. Dang, that's terrifying. So now you've done what other stuff have you done now? Because you've been all over the place. I see your stuff on you on cruise ships or whatever. Just give
Yeah,
everybody kind of your credits and like all that kind of stuff. Because you have a lot of credits too.
yeah. When I first moved out, I moved out in '98 to come to LA, and in '98 I was doing. I've done a couple of films. Um, I was the biggest movie I was in that hit theaters was called Crossover with Wayne Brady. It was in theaters, and it was crazy seeing myself at the big screen. Watching that. That was unbelievable. I've done a lot of indie films. I've done a lot of pilots. Um, so I got my acting on, but the comedy was my main goal. Like that was my baby. I'm in love with comedy. So um, I hit the road early in my career. A lot of comedians, they wait until I had early success so far as early in my career because I didn't believe in rules. And a lot of comedians, when they first start, they believe in rules. Like you gotta take the microphone off the stand, put the stand behind you. You gotta stand a certain way. You have to do this. There's absolutely no rules. There's no rule because what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa.
Right.
So um, I didn't care for some apparent reason when I did comedy. I didn't care. So and it actually took me on a nice level really fast.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I was new. I was brand new, and I had a lot of audacity, and I was ignorant. So it took me a lot of opportunities comes with ignorance.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome though. So when you started hitting the road, how much time did you have? Did you just go out there and wing it, or were you just constantly writing to try to keep up with stuff? Like, how did that work?
You know what? My writing sucked, and I used to go on stage, and I had like 7 minutes of material, and that 7 minutes was trash.
Oh
It was
wow.
trash. It was embarrassing. That's how bad it was. So I used to wing it. I would go on stage and wing it. And I was featuring for this comedian who was headlining, rest his soul. His name was Big Daddy Fitz. He took me on a role, and he was headlining, and I was featuring for him. Now, when I was featuring, I would have to do 20 minutes, half an hour, in some of the worst comedy clubs around the country. Bad comedy clubs. But I did it. And I was actually good at it because I was winging it. That's what, that's how I got the I don't care attitude because I
Right.
was winging it. And I was actually, years later, this guy, this actor wanted me to teach him how to do comedy. Him and his mother, they used to come over to my house and I used to teach him how to do comedy. And his mother used to always say, teach him how to write, teach him how to write. And I would tell his mother, he don't want to be a comedian because he knows how to write. He wants to be a comedian because of the stuff he said in the classroom and around his friends and family events. The stuff he said off the top of his head. That's what we wanted. That's why we want to be comedians because we learned it was funny early on in life.
Yep.
So I wanted to hone in on that. That's what that was my teaching. That's how I taught comedy. The whole hone. She didn't like it, so yeah. So
Well,
she
I mean,
wanted me.
because a lot of people say, you need to learn to write a joke. You should learn how to write just a basic setup punchline joke. That was the first thing I was always told.
Right.
And so you're right, though. I'm funnier off the top of my head than I am if I sit down to write stuff. So
Exactly.
I've learned to just talk my stuff out and find it that way. I'll find humor that way. Then I can go back and tighten it up and do its thing or whatever. But if I tried to go on stage and wing it, I would die a terrible, terrible death.
So crazy, man, is the comedians are scared of the silence. Once you get past the silence, then you can do anything you want to do. Like you can. Sometimes when the audience is sometimes when the audience is silent, when the audience is silent, sometimes you're not funny at all.
And see, that's what you're concerned about. It's like you're worried that the silence is silence because you're not funny, not because they're waiting for you to say something or they're leaning in to hear like what your punchline is. You just feel like, oh, they're quiet, they hate me, right? That's what.
Yes, that's how you feel. That's exactly how comedians feel. Sometimes the silence is what he's saying is interesting. You know what I mean? They actually engage. They like, oh, whoa. Sometimes that's the silence. So you can't, and you have to trust yourself because you have to, like Jim Carrey, he said that he bombed for I think he said 3 years or something like that because he hated the material. So he's just go on stage and bomb. You cannot be scared to bomb as a comedian. You can't. Bombing is healthy. Bombing is good.
Yeah.
And because you learn from it,
Yeah. No, that's true. But it's the hardest. I feel like it's the worst feeling in the world. Like, I would rather go through like a divorce or a breakup than bomb. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how bad bombing is.
It's a horrible feeling. It's a horrible. I used to bomb, man. I remember this, I was somewhere and it was this sweet, nice lady. I went on stage and I bombed, right? Bombed hard. And this sweet, nice lady walked up on me. Older lady, sweet, looking like she was on a bake sale. Looked like the type of lady you would see in a bake sale.
Okay.
She walked up on me about 20 minutes later after I bombed. She was leaving the bathroom and she walked past and she was like, oh, you still here? Because if that would have happened to me, I would have left. That's what and that made me hurt more. I was like, lady, you saw what just happened. And so why would you say that to me? Yeah, when you bomb, comedy is the only job that is not funny if you do it wrong.
Yeah.
That is the only job. Like if a singer can't sing, it's hilarious.
Of course.
Any other profession that is doing it wrong is funny, except comedy. If you're doing comedy wrong, they're like, oh, I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate you. I hate you. Yeah.
I always think about the Bernie Mac thing, where he went out there and like, I ain't scared of you, like that. Yeah. For me, that's what I was trying to think about. I'm like, all right, just don't be scared when you go out there. But then I get out there and I get in my own head. I'm like, all right, this is the joke I have to tell for this. This is the joke. And so then I have a friend of mine, Paul Moonjean, who was watching me do. I did my set I've been doing because I've been on the road with Darren Carter. I've been doing stuff, trying to get ready to get material to send to Dry Bar to go through that process. And he said, man, I've never seen a comedian not have so much fun up there. Like there was no fun being had by you at all. I was like, oh, that's terrible. So those things should not even have, and it's fun. Being a stand-up comedian is a fun job. It's the funnest job. He's like, I've never seen anybody look like you. You just look like you're having the worst time of your life. And I'm like, but I'm not. I'm just trying to like think and like get. He's like, nah, man. He's like, and and he said the one thing you're not supposed to say to women. He was like, you need to smile more. I was like, bro, it's not okay.
Yes, the audience can tell when you're having a good time.
Yeah.
And they can tell when you're not.
Yeah.
So, yes, if you're not having a good time, they're not having a good time.
Yeah. And it's not that I wasn't having a good time. It was that I'm trying to get this set up properly. I'm trying to get everything going and all my ducks in a row. So I'm in my head like, okay, is this working? Okay, they're laughing at this. Is that thing? And I'm not like, it's not outside. I'm like, hey guys, I'm just doing my set. It's like, He's like, "Nah, you're not even having fun." Like, I'm like, "But I am having fun. I'm just also trying to think." He's like, it's not coming through. They're not enjoying. You're not enjoying it, so they're not enjoying it. They're laughing because the jokes are funny and you're good. You're good at that part. But they would laugh more if you were into it. So
I went on. This is when I started early. Like I said, I used to try to envision what I wrote while I was on stage. Like
okay,
in my mind, I'm actually reading what's on the paper.
right.
And so I was in Detroit, and I'm doing this show, and it's all these hot girls. That's what makes me nervous. Hot. So if I see hot women in the audience, I'm like, oh my god. That's what used to make me nervous. So I'm doing comedy and all these hot women, right, in Detroit. And I'm doing the jokes, and the people in the front, they laughing. I hear people in the back like, we can't hear you, we can't hear you. And I'm so nervous, even though they're laughing. I'm so nervous, and I hear them say, "We can't hear you, we can't hear you," without even thinking, without even missing a beat. I started all over.
Your whole
On
set?
my entire set. I was about 3 minutes in, and like I said a punchline, and I just zoom, went back over to the first word that came out of my mouth, verbatim how I just said it. And the audience in the front row, I heard him say, he started all over. They did that. And I was so scared to even acknowledge it. I was
Wow.
like paranoid. Detroit is the scariest place for me to do comedy.
Is it because you're from there, or is it what's? Yeah, okay.
Because I'm from there. And they mess with me because you know what I mean? I'm from there or whatever. So it's like, what you doing now? That's not funny. But I've seen other comedians who said horrible stuff. Like their comedy level could be at a 3. And they're like, ah. Well, when I come up there, it's like, you have to give us 10 or we ain't buying it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, it was
that's crazy. Because yeah, I mean, I didn't experience that. I went back to Texas to do stand up. I'd never done stand up in Texas before, but just letting them know I'm from here. This is my, they were cool. They were like willing to give me more than any. They were really cool about it.
oh, that's good.
Now the opposite was I was born in Alaska and I tried to use that in Alaska. They did not care. They're like, we don't care. We don't care where you're from. Make us laugh or leave, W. Like,
Yeah, that's how Detroit is. Like, you're from here, then you better be good.
yeah, yeah.
That's how they are. That's how they look at it.
So now you travel all over. What's your favorite? If you had to pick like a favorite state to do comedy besides California, right? Like, what state would you say you enjoy going to do comedy?
Uh, I love going to Texas to do comedy. I love red states. I love doing comedy in red states
Why is that?
because I push the envelope and I
Right,
love making them uncomfortable. And I love saying things that they don't believe.
right.
You know what I mean? Or they don't believe in. I
Yeah.
love yes, I love it because they can't help but to laugh
Hmm.
or get really, really, really angry.
They're not
And
gonna get angry, probably.
yeah, I've had both. But the majority of people just laugh, whatever. And I had this one dude stand up. Oh, this is BS, and he stood up and stormed out. It was hilarious.
I would have to laugh at that too. I'd be like, yes, these are called jokes, sir. Jokes.
Yeah, I was talking about the police, and he did not believe what I was saying,
Oh,
even though I was telling the truth. He didn't believe what I was saying. This is BS. He yelled it out, stood up, and stormed out. He was an older gentleman, and his family was still at the table. They laughed. The entire club laughed,
yeah.
and I said something about him doing that, and I got a nice applause break for it. And then I continued the show. But and they came up to me after the show. His family came up to me after the show, and they was like, "Yeah, he was pretty mad." you know. But so I love I love when I make the audience uncomfortable with the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's good stuff. I mean, that's what legendary comedians do. You know, you have Chris Rock and George Carlin. They make you uncomfortable with the truth. Like some of Chris Rock's my favorite bits of Chris Rock are the ones that will make you very uncomfortable. You
Yeah.
know, and you're
Yes.
like, those are amazing. You've thought this all the way through on every level, and now even though you made me uncomfortable for that 1 second, like I get it. I'm on board with you. You know, that's the
Yeah.
best.
Yes. I love it. That is the best. And those are the ones that's memorable. You can see a comedy special and you can laugh all the way through.
Mhm.
And after the comedy special, give it a week and say, tell me one of those jokes. You'll be like, oh, what did he say? I don't know. I don't know what he said, but he was funny.
Yeah.
That's how people describe a lot of specials.
Right.
But the uncomfortable man, when he was talking about this and that, he was talking about, you know, this happened and that happened. You remember every detail about like a Chris Rock special.
Oh yeah, because he talks about school shooters back then. Like that's an old thing. He talks about how kids don't respect their dad, like they respect mom. He's like, I put the lights on. How about hey daddy, thanks for the lights. You know, like
Right.
I always do that to my kids because my kids are like do everything for my wife, and I'm like, mommy, mommy, mommy. Nobody cares about daddy. You know, like
Right. Yep.
because that's
Big
like
people
that's one of my favorite bits of all time because I get it. I know where he's come from. Like this is real life. Like he's talking to real stuff. So
real
he's
stuff.
he's always going to be my favorites. When I started, I wore a black leather jacket
Oh,
and I
that's
paced the stage like Chris Rock because that's like who I really looked up to. I still look up to Chris Rock. He's like one of my favorites of all time. And and a, a booker that also was a comedian friend of mine came to me and said, "Hey man, you can't pace the stage because your type of comedy is not the same type as Chris Rock. Like you're not being aggressive. He's aggressive, so that's why it works. When you do it, it makes people weird. Like they're weirded out by you. Like you're pacing like you're insane or something. I'm like, all right, fine. Like I lose the leather jacket.
that is hilarious.
I should just get a leather jumpsuit, Eddie Murphy style, and go up there.
Yeah, the red one. Did you see that time with Tracy Morgan Ward?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so funny. Because he was all out of shit. He got a tight one.
Yeah. They always say that there's an evolution of those of comedians like that, like Chris Rock and those guys. Is that first you get a leather jacket, then you get a leather jumpsuit. That's how you know you made it. When I know you're wearing a leather jumpsuit, I'm like, oh man. I was like, I'm starting with the leather jacket. I'm gonna get to the leather jumpsuit fast. I did not.
Yeah, I love Chris Rock, man. He's a genius.
Yeah.
Genius. Chris Rock, Chappelle, love him.
Sure. I know Chappelle is I think he either bought a club or he's getting a club like in Ohio or something, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's yeah. Doing
I would
big
love to
things.
just go there, even even if he's like, "Hey, you can do 1 minute on stage." I'm like, "I'll 100%. I'll do it." Like, you can roast me afterwards. I don't care. 1 minute on Chappelle's stage would be enough for me. Like, I'd be okay with that. Like, all right, he saw me do stand up. Even if he gave me a hard time afterwards, it'd be totally worth it. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, so he is so he's so pro comedian that he wouldn't even if he was bad, he wouldn't even acknowledge it unless you did something so like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you did something messed up. But yeah, he wouldn't no, you can bomb in front of him and he wouldn't even acknowledge, you know what I'm saying? Y'all give it up for yeah, he wouldn't.
He's the best, man. Like honestly, he's one of the few comedians I haven't got to meet yet. And I know he comes to LA and he's at the store or whatever. I just haven't had that interaction. And if I had that interaction, I don't know. I might have a heart attack afterwards. To be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie.
You know, so dope. He is so grounded that when you do talk with him, it's gonna be like you talking to a friend.
That's what I'm terrified about. Is like you're the coolest dude ever. Like I'm gonna die now. It's like if I met Jordan Peele, same thing. If I met Jordan Peele, I'd probably have a heart attack and die right afterwards.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
care how cool he was.
yeah, that's how I felt about Eddie. When I saw Eddie, man, when I saw Eddie Murphy, man, it was almost like um I saw Bugs Bunny, somebody I loved in my childhood. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like Bugs Bunny just walked past me, and he's iconic. You know, Eddie I was like, wow.
Did you get to work with him?
I never got to work with him. I saw Eddie at a comedy club, and a comedian was on stage, and I was staring at Eddie. The comedian on stage killing it. I'm staring at Eddie like a groupie. I'm like, dude, that's Eddie Murphy. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've met like almost everyone I wanted to meet so far in the comedy game.
Oh dang!
I can't think of anyone I haven't met. Martin Lawrence, cool,
I bet.
real cool. Kevin Hart, dude. When I tell you one of the nicest people, when I will always love Kevin Hart. Like Kevin Hart is the man to me because he takes care of his people. Like I look up to his moves, the way he moves.
Yeah,
It's I pray for Kevin Hart. You know what I mean? Because he does things how I mean you can say a lot of people. He's I think he's hilarious. He's a great dude, and the way he takes care of his people. I have nothing bad to say about Kevin Hart.
no, he's one of those people that when you watch him, he looks like he's having fun on stage. Like he's just having fun. I'm just having fun. I'm hanging out with my friends, making them laugh. We're just having fun. Like it never feels. He's one of those people that where people watch comedy and go, "Oh, I could do that," because he makes it look so easy.
Makes it look easy. And it sucks. This sucks, man. I went up. We was at the Ha Cafe one night, and Naeem went up. One of his openers, he went up and killed it. Then Kevin went up and killed it, and then I went up after Kevin.
Oh man!
And Kevin and Hart. It was Kevin Hart, his wife, and a couple of his friends, and they watched it. They stayed and watched the show. I was going through something mentally. The show was good. It was a really good set, right? Really good set. So I'm walking off stage. Audience gave me, nice round of applause. And everybody telling me how funny it was. And then Kevin Hart stopped me. He was like, "Hey man, that last joke was powerful." And I was like, "Oh, thank you," and walked away. Yeah. I played him. I played him like he was a little fella. Like, yeah, thank you, man. One day you'll be on my level. And walked away. Because I was going through something. And then I got in the car and I was like, what did you just do? Like, what is wrong with you? I couldn't believe it. I called my friend Joy Wells, who opens up for Kevin, and he laughed. He was just like, "Oh my God!" He said, "Just tell him next time you see him." I haven't seen him since then, but I mean,
he's avoiding you now.
But no, I like. He is straight up the man to me. He is the man. Yeah.
Now you do a lot of cruise ships. How long do you go out? What are those like? Because I've never done cruise ships. What are the qualifications? What do they look for? Like, what's that process like?
I just started doing cruise ships. Like I started in April.
Seriously, because you're murdering. All your clips are of you murdering on cruise ships. Also, the only person I've ever seen in boat shoes, shorts, sitting on a stool, murdering ever in my life.
Yeah, it's so funny, man, because after the pandemic, like things changed. A lot of comedy clubs, the promoters or whatever, or bookers I used to call up to come do the weekend, they moved on. So I don't have any relationship with a lot of comedy clubs anymore.
Right.
So I needed to pay my mortgage. And a couple of friends of mine, Sebastian Cantina, good friend of mine, he was doing cruises. So I asked him about it, and he called my agent, or he called his agent. Now she's my agent. And I was on the ship weeks later.
Wow.
And yeah, and that goes to what I was saying about going off the top of your head.
Right.
Because I'm on the ship with these people, and I've seen comedians do like their regular set, and some comedians it doesn't translate because these people are on vacation. They want to have a good time.
Right.
So a lot of my jokes are some of them serious, even though they jokes, you know, I talk about racism. I talked about AIDS. You know what I'm saying? And I had to take an AIDS test, and I talked about how the doctor had me thinking I had it. You know what I mean? Because my blood count was low,
Oh,
and then months went by. I found out I didn't have it, and then he says, "Oh, yeah, in the African American community, the blood count is low." Like, you could have told me that in the beginning, but he tricked me. So anyway, I was pissed. So anyway, I do it. I was talking about that. So I had a lot of real subjects that I'm like, um, scary subjects that I talk about on stage.
right,
And people on vacation don't want to hear that.
right,
You know what I mean? I'm on vacation. I don't want to hear about police brutality. You
right.
know, so so I go on stage and I just wing it. And when I say wing it, I don't mean, uh, hey guy, where you from? Oh, look at this guy's shirt. Or, you know, I don't do stuff like that. I just go on stage and I have a subject in mind, or something may have happened that day. And I talk about that. So I'm telling them an experience. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's the winging it part. Okay, the process of the cruise ships, you have to have you do 5 shows, and the shows are half an hour each.
Okay.
And 2 of the shows have to be clean. 3 of the shows are adult content. You can repeat 2 shows. You can repeat the clean show, and you can repeat one of the adult contents. So in reality, you need an hour and a half of original material, right? Or off the top of the dome. Out of the 5 shows, I don't repeat a joke at all.
Wow.
I do 5, and I tell the audience that on my first show. I say none of these are going to be repeated, not one. And after after each show, my audience, they come back, and I say the 3rd show is standing room only, and the 4th they turning people back. You know what I mean? They turning people away. They can't even get in. And the other comedian, the other comedian I work with in Miami, his shows were getting lighter because they've seen his material before, right?
Right.
He's been doing this for 20 plus years on cruise ships. And also, he was in suits. He wore suits on stage. So he got mad at me, and because you brought up shorts, this reminded me of that. He got mad at me. He was like, "I haven't seen nobody wear shorts on stage in over 20, and I've been doing this for 20 years. This guy's on stage wearing shorts." He told this to the people who run the cruise ships. They could have said, "You know what? You're right. I don't want him on the ships anymore." You know, because of what he said. He tried to get me in trouble. But in turn, they said, "What does his clothes have to do with his jokes?" You know, and then that pissed him off even more.
Yeah.
So the cruise ships they're really fun. They're really fun. They pay your mortgage. They pay for everything. They pay for your flights. They pay for you to go to the airport. They pay you Uber to the airport, you Uber back.
Wow.
Yeah, they pay for you to eat in the airport.
Dang.
Yeah, they pay for everything. And the food is free on the ships. You know what I'm saying? It is a win-win. They treat you like a king. So
Now, how long are you out there for? It's 5 shows over 1 week or 2 weeks, or how long?
oh no. 3 days. The 3 days is the shortest one. You may do on a 3-day ship, first night you may do 1 show, second night 2 shows, third night 2 shows. That's 5 shows, and then you fly back. I try to do 3 days, 3 to 4 days, the longest I try to do, because on some cruises, if you do 3 days or you do 7 days, the pay might be the same if you only do 5 shows.
Gotcha.
So I've done a 7-day one where they doubled the show, so I got paid twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because what happened is I got on the ship halfway through the cruise. So I did four days with these people, and then they left. I stayed on, and then new people came on. So I did an additional, few days with those people. So I got double the pay for 5. It was 5 days. It wasn't 7 days. It was 5 days.
Wow. That
of
sounds
material.
awesome, man.
Yeah,
I've
it
got
was
to get more material. So I'm definitely
yeah.
not winging it on. I'm not gonna be able to wing it.
What I recommend every comedian should do is go to okay. I have a lot of I had a lot of nerves when I was coming up, and I used to wing it on at the Comedy Store. I used to wing it at the Improv, yeah, in Hollywood. I used to wing it at the Laugh Factory, and I just believed in myself. I had that much audacity. I used to just be like, well, I don't care what happens,
Right.
and it ended up being the 90% of the time they were good, you know, like end up being good. So I recommend every comedian. I mean, don't go to those clubs and do it.
Yeah, I was just say.
Don't do that. But go to places and wing it. Go to places and just go on stage and just talk about what you want to talk about. Just have the subject in mind
Right.
and just go on stage and just do it. Fail. Don't be scared to fail. Just do it a few times. I wasn't even to this day, if I think of a joke, I would just go on stage with the subject and do the joke. If I sit at home and like, okay, let me write the joke, all I would be writing is fat.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to explain myself too much.
Yeah.
You have to trust the audience that they're smart enough to know what you're saying without explaining everything, you know? And then you have to trust yourself that you're smart enough. Because me and you have had meeting conversations and you've had me laughing just talking to you, right? So you're naturally funny. So, and you're a great writer, but you're naturally funny. So you have to trust yourself that I'm James when you walk on stage. You know what I mean? Like, I'm James.
Yeah, but everybody in the audience is like, who's James and why should we care? You big stupid idiot. Get off the stage. That's what I think that's the moment I step on stage, I'm like, all I hear is dance, monkey, dance. And I'm like, dang it, man, come on. This is so if I go out there and try to wing it, man, I feel like I'm just gonna eat it so bad. So I did try that recently. I did I went when I was with Darren, we did a show and we flew on a plane and I was joking with him about how much I miss my bidet at home. And he was like laughing about it in the car or whatever. So then we got on stage. I just tried that. I like opened with that joke. I was like, look, if it dies, whatever. Like I can recover from that. But it went well. And so then it just became a joke over 3 nights that I like ended up adding to my stuff because I did that where I was like, you know what? Worst case scenario, they hate that joke. At least I know I have other jokes that will always work, so I'm not worried about it.
Right.
So that would make me okay. I'd be okay trying 1 or 2 things, but being able to always fall back on material that I know works. Because I don't know, I'm not courageous like that, man. Honestly, I'm not. I'll tell you, I'd rather be shot. I'd rather be shot than bombed. Like
the quickest way to do it, to get your nerves up is you go out there with one of your strongest bits, right?
right.
Then you hit them and they're like, okay, this guy is funny. Hit him again. This guy is funny. You did your 2 good jokes. They know you're funny. You maybe want to hit him again. Okay, this guy is funny. Then you do something new, brand new. Then they already on your side. So you get they're gonna be like, they're gonna laugh, they may die laughing. Oh, this is funnier than I thought it was. Because you already in the zone.
Right.
Once you get in the zone, you're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
So they're like, this is funnier than I thought. You're gonna be like, this is funnier than I thought it was. Or if it didn't work, all right, cool. Then you go, you hit them with your 4th, 5th, 6th joke that you know that works.
Yeah.
And then you get off and you be like, this is what I need to do. I did that joke wrong. Maybe if I did it like this, let me change it. Let me try it later. Yeah. That's how you do it if you want to test it out.
That's how you do it. Yeah. I have a show tonight, so I'm gonna go. I'm trying a new joke tonight too, so we'll see how it goes. It's 7 minutes, which is fine. Whatever. I have 25, no big deal. But 7 minutes, I'm gonna try out something new with stuff that I know works as well too. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, just mix it in. Mix it in. That's all you gotta do. Like when you feed kids, you know, you feed them. Like I gave my son some yogurt, but I put vegetables in it. You know,
you put vegetables in yogurt?
Yeah.
Vegetables.
So,
fruit makes sense.
No, he had to eat. I mixed it up well. He can barely taste the vegetables and the vitamins.
That's
You know?
hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, he ate it. He didn't even know he was healthy. Yeah, that's how I do it.
I mean, that's great. And do you remember bits like? Will you be able to, if someone said, "Hey, I like this joke that you did," would you be able to do that joke again? Would you remember it? Like, do you have a way to like know all the bits that you've ever done so you don't ever touch on it again? Or is that something that you,
Oh, you mean on the cruise ship?
well, anywhere? Like, so say you go do, like, say you go do a show, like you start a tour or whatever. If you're gonna go do a half hour, are you doing the same jokes every half hour? And if so, did you write them down after you did them, winged them? Did you write them down again so that you remember? Oh, this is what I talked about in that joke. Or how do you do that? Or are you always coming up with new material?
On the cruise ships, I'm always coming up with new material. But off the ship, I record
Okay,
um, every show, either video or audio.
right.
I record every show. So when I do is if I come when I come up with something that I've never said before, and a lot of the stuff is new to me. If I come up with something I never said before, and it really really worked, or it didn't work, or whatever, um, I never write it down. I will listen to it, and I'm like, okay, let me put this over here, and you know what I'm saying. I put the puzzles together in my head. Then I tried it on stage a different way, you know, and then I put the puzzle together in my head, and then I keep working it out until it's worked.
Okay.
Yeah, and and another thing, the way I told you how to do it when you're doing winging, I didn't do it like that. It was the time when I hated my material, right? I hated my material. So I used to go on. I don't even have a closer anymore. I don't have a closer.
Wow.
Not at all. Yeah, I used to go. I used to have a closer, and when I hated my material, I would go on stage with my closer, and now I'm stuck. I would do my closer, which was about 10 to 15 minutes long. Do my closer bit, right? Now I'm stuck. And I think to myself, like, now you have 45 minutes left or half an hour left. What you gonna do? So I put myself in a position to either win or fail. And the majority of the times I won.
That
The times when I fail, I needed to fail during those times.
right.
But I trusted in myself. Like you know what I'm saying? You just gotta, that's all it is. You just trust. You gotta trust yourself.
I trust Jesus, and that's about it. I don't trust me at all. I trust Jesus. Jesus is like, don't do that. Don't.
Yeah. It's a lot, man. Then I heard, so funny. I heard uh Louis C.K. say the same thing. He said he went on stage and he started opening with his closer. And I was like, oh yeah, I was doing that for a minute. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, and now I actually do not have a closer. So at any given time, I made sure that my jokes are so funny that any given time I can walk off the stage.
That's amazing. So if you had to go back in time and give your young self, your starting out comedy, one piece of advice, what piece of advice would you give them?
I would tell my young self, when you are at the Improv, the Comedy Store, and the Laugh Factory, do your proven set. Do your proven set, because you know it worked and people are watching you.
Yeah.
And I would tell myself, but enjoy yourself everywhere else.
Man, I feel like I need to hear that. I feel like I need to hear that too. I feel like this is for me as well.
Yeah. Because you know who told me that? I was eating with a couple of comedians, and Chris D'Elia told me. He told me, man, I admired you so much because you used to always just go on stage and just be free. And he said, when he started, he would just pound his regular set, pound it each night. at those clubs. And then he started, when he had other spots, he'd do it, how he wanted to do it. And I was like, man, that's what I never did before. I
Yeah.
never did my tried and true at those clubs.
Right.
Yeah. And that, because I've had people be like, man, you are so funny. And one thing about Hollywood or whatever, they don't know where to put you unless you tell them.
Right.
So just being so funny, they were just like, oh yeah, you were so funny. I could just see you being funny, but I don't know where.
Right.
So you got to be like, oh my God, you're a funny dad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, you're a funny neighbor. Or you're a funny husband. But just being funny is, oh, he's just funny. Like it's like they can't think. You know what I mean? It's like we the creative ones, and they're the mannequins. Just they're like, I don't know what to do.
They want you to tell them, and that's the hard part. That's the hardest part about breaking through is you have to have something that they go, that's the Jim Gaffigan, that's the food guy, that's the food guy, like, all right, man, but he does more than that. It's like Brian Regan, that's the goofy guy, and you're like, okay, so it's like it's hard. Now, where can people find you? Where can they find your stand-up? Where can they find out where you're going to be and stuff? All your socials, all the kind of stuff.
All my socials, my Instagram, I've been plugging that a lot lately. I've been putting videos up on Instagram.
They're good videos, guys. You got to watch them.
Thank you. And the videos, 90% of the videos I'm putting up is something I made up on the spot that night. And yeah, this stuff is, I'm not putting out real material. I'm just putting out stuff that I just came up with that night. Go to my Instagram. It's really easy. It's my initials, AC. That's what everybody call me, Allan Cunningham or AC. So my initials, AC, the comedian.
Right.
What I do for a living. It's one word. Keep it together. AC, the comedian on Instagram. You can find me there, and you can just go through my page. Don't just look at my stories. Just go through my page, and you can see some stand-up clips.
You watch a lot. You'll be there for a while because there's a lot of stuff, and it's very funny. And again, the funniest dude I ever see do stand up in shorts sitting on a stool ever in my life. Ever in my life. I was like, this dude's wearing shorts on stage because I was always told don't wear shorts on stage. I'm like, he's doing it. He doesn't care at all. This is the best thing I ever seen in my life.
Yes, there's. You know how many? Do you know how many people hit me up? You wearing shorts? Like there's no rules.
See, I came up with being told these are the rules you have to do. I was told stand behind you, no shorts on stage, no flip flops, no whatever, all this stuff. So I'm like very ingrained. I'm like that's how. I think that's probably why I'm so in my head because I'm like, did I follow this rule? Did I follow that rule? Did I doing this thing? Am I doing that? It's like I want to go have more fun. I should just wing it more. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that now.
Gerard Carmichael told me. He said. People was on him when he did his first HBO special.
His first HBO special was amazing. It blew, dude.
Yeah, and but in the middle of his set, he pulled out his pad and looked at it or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And people was like, "You don't do that. There's no rules. There are no rules, man. The only rule is don't steal."
That's the big. That's probably the biggest rule of all time, honestly, is don't steal. If you steal material, you're done. You're done. Dang it! Why did I just go blank? The guy that was on Blackish, that played Charlie. What was his name? Starts with a D.
Deon Cole.
Deon Cole. He has it. When he did his special, he had his thing. I loved him doing that. To be fair, that guy, I could hear him read the phone book, and I would probably laugh. Like he's that funny. Like he just something about him. I don't know. You just automatically love him. Like you're just like, oh, you're amazing. To be fair, listen, I met Anthony Anderson. I love Anthony Anderson. I think he's a great guy. Probably one of the best people I ever met in my life. We had a great conversation. Everything was cool. But in all honesty, Deon Cole steals that show from him from time to time. Where you go,
definitely.
You go, sorry, Anthony, but Deon stole that. He stole that whole scene with just whatever he said. Now they have Wanda Sykes on. I think it's over now, but like now they have Wanda Sykes on. She started stealing scenes. I'm like, what are you guys doing? There's too many good people. You can't do all this. There's too many good people.
I love Wanda Sykes.
Oh my gosh, I feel like she's everybody's auntie. Like that would beat you for doing something wrong, and then just give you the worst verbal beatdown of your life afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, no matter how old I get, if Wanda Sykes put her finger in my face and chastised me, I would listen like a kid.
100%.
Her and Whoopi, I'll be like, yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there would be like these great nuggets of knowledge that they dropped on you as they were just like verbally assaulting you. You'd just be like, I know that this sucks right now, but I'm going to listen to everything they say because I know there's good stuff in there for me.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Go check it out. Go check out Allan at acthecomedian.com or acthecomedian on Instagram, whatever. Do you have a website too?
Yes, my website is Allan, ALLANAF, AllanAF.com.
All right, and I'll put that in the show notes too. I'm not even not touching that one.
That's the name of I have a podcast as well. That's the name of my podcast. AllanAF.com. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Is that on everything? Is it on Spotify, all that stuff?
Yes. YouTube, Spotify. That's the name of my podcast.
Awesome.
Just the raw, uncut version of myself.
How have I not heard of that? We talk a lot, and you never told me this.
I just started it.
Because you don't love me. That's what it is. You don't love
me. James, you my dog, you the man. And people that's listening right now, this dude is a genius when it comes to writing.
That means so much. I'm gonna cry afterwards. That means so much to me. I'm serious. That's serious.
Believe me, he's a genius. Because
Allan's one of the funniest people ever that I ever met in my life, and for him to give me that kind of praise, I don't even know what to do with that. I might die now. You're gonna kill me. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, we got to work together on some stuff. Yes.
And everyone who doesn't know, if you want someone who's a fantastic writer, you go to Allan because that dude can tell a story like nobody's business. Have you rolling? You're reading something rolling. I'm crying. My wife came in and was like, "Why are you laughing so hard?" I'm like, "You got to read this." I'm showing her Allan stuff. She's like, "This is hilarious." I'm like, "I know." I don't even know. Hollywood, you're missing out. You're missing out. You better do something. Because I'll tell you right now, if I get rich, I'm making everything that Allan has, and y'all ain't getting none of it. Not one penny. I'm gonna start my own Netflix. I'll make Allan stuff. I'll make the Versies. I'll make all my friends stuff because I know they're all funnier than half the crap that's out there right now. I'm telling you right now.
Oh man, it's crazy. It is so crazy.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.